All right, all right. Welcome everybody to another Sunday edition of HHC Live. We are here, episode number 6. I'm here with my brother Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. I got my new jersey in. Just gotta show it off. It's a Jimmy Butler, number 22. So kind of had to
Normally, I'm
bring it into the pod today.
normally I'm against wearing other teams' jerseys during the season, but you've had some good colors so far this year.
Yeah, yeah,
I
for sure,
got
for sure.
this is my I've been in the mood since I watched that Tony Parker doc. I've just been in that Tony Parker mode. Plus, I don't know if you saw Jake Dom 2K's new video came out, and it's all about Tony Parker in the 2007 NBA Finals, and just shows like all the different ways that he broke down Gibson and basically anything that Cleveland was trying to do. Tony was just shredded. So
Dope,
been
dope.
in
That
a good
sounds
mood.
awesome. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah. So been in a good mood. It's last Sunday we had a lot of gloomy weather and rain and gray skies around here. So it's good to have a nice sunny day. We had a pretty decent week in terms of Spurs basketball, and we're here to kind of break down what we had over this past week, and then kind of look forward to our next week's game. So Jake is kind of our stat man. He's going to start us off. We're going to start by looking backwards. So this week we had a few games. We had our second game in our series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We had our lone game against OKC Thunder, and then we had a nice little 2-game series against Houston. So Jake, I'm going to kind of give you the floor, kind of set us up for Minnesota.
Yeah. All right. So, like Chris said, we played against Minnesota the week before. This was the second part of our 2-game series, and we kind of just came in a little bit slower than usual. I'm pretty sure Pop had said something about like a wall, and I kind of agree with him that like we didn't have DeMar, so we just kind of lost a bit of scoring there. But Lonnie kind of kept it up for us. He scored 25, and LaMarcus scored 20 in this little 88-96 loss. This was another little slow game for KJ, but you can't ask him to be perfect every game. So on the Timberwolves side, though, they definitely picked up their slack because D'Angelo Russell had 27 and Malik Beasley had 24. Their little center off the bench, Naz Reid, also still provided for them with 11. And even though their rook, Anthony Edwards, and then their other young boy and Jarrett Culver didn't really score much, they were still able to kind of get that lead with D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley taking the charge. So.
Yeah, I think we kind of anticipated Russell having a bounce back game after his pretty quiet night the first night we played him, huh?
For sure. And then I kind of expected Beasley to still kind of show up a little bit this game, pretty much just because Cat was gone. He was just going to be stepping up, but it really helped them for him to go 3 for 6 from the field, and for D'Lo to go 4 for 7. So.
Yeah. Let's see. So I don't know. This game we don't have to spend too much time talking about it. I think we framed it pretty well in our last video because the last video is when we kind of talked about that first game. But other than obviously Cat being out and DeMar being out was a big blow. So this was kind of a good opportunity for their squad to see, who can kind of step up. Beasley had a nice showing against us. I would say both games he played pretty solid. I liked a lot of what I saw from him. I also liked a lot of what I saw from Reed. He was pretty willing. I don't know. I this is my first time seeing him, but I will say like he was willing to be everywhere. Like he would stand in the corner and take those open threes if that's what we were willing to just give up. But then he was willing to go down there and try to be on the block a little bit too. So I enjoyed watching. This is my first time really digging into Minnesota. I'm kind of using the Spurs schedule for now as a way to kind of just see a lot of these teams, and then some of the bigger names I'll maybe go and watch a game of them on my own just to kind of get a feel what they're going to be like. So it was cool. Yeah, I liked Reed and I liked Beasley. Those are two of my like kind of standout pieces from this game. But I think for us though on our side of things. super happy to see Lonnie. The points is great, right? 25 points is great, but when I see 19 shot attempts, 3 for 7 on a 3 point line, like so one thing that I've been kind of saying over the past couple of weeks or leading up to around this time was I want him to start to get a little greedy. We've seen Keldon not really shy away from any opportunity at all. And then with Lonnie, there's just a couple times where you feel like he's out there, but you want to see him try to take over a game, and if he doesn't, then that's okay. But you just want to see that, So I was glad he kind of had the opportunity to do that. These couple games that DeMar was sitting out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Because DeMar wasn't in this game. Like, I am happy to see that Lonnie did take 20 shots pretty much, and like I can't really get mad at that just because this was like one of the first games that we didn't have DeMar in. If not the first game this season, I think. Um, but like like you said, that 3 for 7 from the 3 point line, while his 3 pointers helped us across the board, our team just shot poorly. um and like you said, Lonnie scoring 25 was great, but on 9 for 19 shooting, it just wasn't like, it wasn't able to get us over the hump. And it's just, everybody on the team just kind of wasn't able to get their shots down. Nobody even made five 3 pointers this
Yeah.
game. So
Now I will say, thinking back to this game, it was a little discouraging, and this is kind of a bigger topic that we can kind of keep bringing up for this episode. But it was a little discouraging. Like, yeah, I understand about what they said about running into the wall and feeling a little gassed and feeling a little tired, but it was just a little discouraging to see like how much of that can affect like your mental, right? Like the way that they kind of started to execute a little bit just fell a little flat towards the end.
hmm
And we kind of saw the opposite a little bit, I would say, in the second Houston game that we're going to talk about. But is there anything else that you kind of want to add to this? I think I think the Spurs organization and was ready to kind of move on past this loss pretty
yeah,
quickly.
pretty much. It wasn't exactly a great looking game, and we just kind of got to move. We just kind of had to move on from it, which we did. So yeah, let's go ahead and just move on to the next game. Our next game was against the OKC Thunder, and this game went pretty smooth. Nothing crazy happened. Nothing terrible happened for us. Again, another game without DeMar, so Lonnie stepped up and he shot less. He shot less field goals this time, but still got 24 points in. And I like to see that. That shows that he was able to be a little bit more efficient from the field than the game against Minnesota. So
Yeah.
KJ was able to step it up with his 18, and even though LaMarcus only scored 13, like we had four of our 5 starters scoring double digits, and 2 people off the bench scored double digits,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to see. That shows that we were able to get some pretty good ball movement around the board.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a pretty solid win all around. The Thunder, obviously, like I was saying before in the last podcast, like I was kind of expecting a little bit something big from Shea, and he put up good numbers, 20 and 9. That's not a bad night on 7 for 10 shooting. Like
Yeah.
you can't be upset from that from your young guard. So
I mean, only 2 assists, and that makes sense when you see 5 for 13, 4 for 11, 4 for 14. So his other starters
mhm,
weren't really playing or weren't really shooting it all that well. And then when you look at the disparity between starters, points, and bench, they had that one guy, Diallo,
right.
who kind of brought some energy in. I mean, 5 for 9 is good. 6 for 6 from the line. That's a good contribution from your bench. But we had kind of talked about how we just felt like we were going to get more from our guys overall, right, against OKC.
Yeah.
And it is good, like it is good when we see that balance scoring on our end. I think that's something that I've noticed over the so far this season is like we have the players for somebody to pop off for 25 plus every night. Like we have that, but we seem to have more success when that number is a little bit lower and there's just a little bit more points to go around. I think that's what's going to be our best mode of attack is is getting everybody involved and having a night where we are finishing with our starters having kind of like what these kind of like these numbers that you're looking at is pretty good, like 24, 16, 13, 18. Like if we can get 3 to 5 people every game with at least 13 points, I think we're in way better shape. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I totally agree with you that like if we're able to I don't I've already said this multiple times, but like I've never seen our team as like, being able to just let one guy take the show for multiple nights at least. Like a spurt of Lonnie doing it, a spurt of DJ doing it, a spurt of Keldon, DeMar, LaMarcus, right? Like that stuff
Yeah.
can happen, but I wouldn't want us relying on DeMar Ball the entire time, relying on Lonnie, Keldon, stuff like that,
Yeah.
So team ball is definitely going to be a way that we get our W's this season, and this game really showed that being able to pass the rock around and having we had what does it look like 3 people that had over 5 assists this game, so like that shows good signs of us just moving the ball around and really running in the flow of the offense instead of stopping what we were our rhythm was and then throwing up some random shot that just didn't look good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have moments, where we kind of have to go, not have to, but where we do go ISO. We saw this, especially this week. We saw a decent amount of times on the games where DeMar was out, where we kind of dropped it to LA and let him do his thing in the post. Against Reed in that second game, that rebound win against Minnesota, there was definitely some times in the fourth quarter where they just threw it down to him, and LA did pretty well, taking advantage of the rook. So I was pretty happy to see that. So yeah, I mean there are moments where we do need to still kind of go to our bread and butter, but I love when we're just moving the ball, and spreading the points around, just because we just seem to be that just seems to give us the most amount of opportunities when it comes to like winning time in the fourth quarter. If we've been sharing it, we feel pretty good. But I don't know. And me personally, I feel like we've seen some days where we've been relying on one person for like almost the whole game, or just like our philosophy for that game. And so when it comes down to the winning, to the crunch time, it's like, all right, we just feel a little out of rhythm. Maybe we don't know exactly who now all of a sudden, like, people are trying to get other people involved and throw these extra passes, and all of a sudden we get like some real sloppy turnover, or we get like some rush shot, or we get Patty Mills taking like 3 threes in the last minute of a game or something like that. Like,
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I get that.
This week I feel like we did a lot of learning. And to come out 2-2 out of it, especially with our star player missing a couple games, which we didn't really anticipate. I think we learned a lot with that's what we talked about earlier in the year, is can we learn these lessons while still winning games? So 2-2, I think we can all be. You might not be ecstatic about 2-2, but you can be what 2-2 looks like, which is like right in the middle. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
let's move on. Luckily for us, our standings, everybody in the West is still pretty much, I would say, as inconsistent as us. You know what I mean? You got those top couple teams, but everybody else is learning their lessons and taking their lumps and doing their thing too. So as the season is going on, I'm trying to be less angry old man every time we lose a game, and think about it, like, because when I try to think about the Spurs a lot of the times, like on a game to game basis, and so sometimes you can get caught up in that game to game outlook instead of seeing the big picture. So the more that I take a step back and I see how the West is starting to do, we're right in the middle of the pack, which is what we want it to be. You know what I mean? That's we just wanted to be in part of that fight. Is there anything else that you kind of want to add about OKC? I'm trying to think, like, anything that I saw from their guys, but not really.
Other than just the fact that their young guys look solid. Like,
Yeah.
That's it for them. We love George. That's another thing.
I did like seeing Baisley out there. I'm trying to think, like, who are some names that I don't really recognize or that I just don't know a lot of that, like, kind of caught my eye. I did like what I saw from Baisley. like Horford and Hill, we've been seeing them for years, so you know
Yeah.
they're professionals. It was good to see Al Horford out there. I kind of forgot he was on OKC, even though we
Yeah.
brought it up. It was good to see him out there though. He played with good energy too. He kind of filled in that
Yeah.
Adams role.
For sure, for sure. Like, for me, yeah, it's just some of these young players that I'll go out there and I'll watch them see. I like watching Shea play. Whenever I watched Lou Dort in the bubble, I was running with the hype train. And it was really nice to see him still being able to do what he can. Especially because like at the moment, these Cinderella stories of like the undrafted players, like um some of them kind of die out, but like the latest one that kind of comes to my mind is Kendrick Nunn. And Kendrick Nunn had half a season of being like a really good rookie of the year candidate, and now he's just kind of like sitting on that Miami bench. So that's
You're, you're
definitely something.
you're saying like he started this year playing really well?
No, last year he
Oh,
started
last year.
last year
Okay.
having like a really good start to the
Oh yeah,
season,
yeah.
and
I do remember
and
that. I do remember that.
and it
Yeah,
was like, who's gonna win the rookie of the year between him and John Morant. But then like a little bit into the season, he kind of started to slow down. Then the stoppage happened, went into the bubble, and he, no minutes. So
yeah.
like it really sucks to see that from an undrafted guy, because like, you those are those guys that have the chip on their shoulder. You want them to
Yeah.
succeed because
And
the
and you
league.
also and you also know that they've not to say that other people haven't worked hard to get to their position to be like a highly touted free agent or draft choice or whatever, but yeah, you know that they kind of had to grind a little bit extra to finally get onto a roster spot, or maybe to get onto a roster spot where they like have a position that they can hold on to. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so seeing a player like Lou Dort, like, if I can see more success from him, then I'm not complaining. That's somebody that like, gives other people hope and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of makes me happy just to see that he's succeeding.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Shout out
and
to
so
Dort. Shout out to
yeah,
Dort. I was trying to remember our talks about like who's gonna hold Keldon. Like this would be a good opportunity for Keldon to like take advantage of some of these other small forwards that OKC have. I don't remember like Dort or anybody really putting up a physical challenge
oh
to
yeah,
take
for
it.
sure, for sure. I mean, it's big body Keldon. What else can you expect?
Yeah. All right. Well then let's spend the rest of our recap time talking about this 2-game series we had with Houston.
So just like Chris was talking about trying not to be an angry man whenever we lose games and stuff, but I will say I was very heated when we lost this game, because it was a very winnable game.
Yeah.
And I know coming into it, this Rockets team was fired up. They're ready to fight for a win, but even in that matter, that still should have been our game to win. Like it was, or our game to lose, I guess, right? Like we came out here and it just wasn't super pretty, besides the one and only Keldon Johnson getting a great 12 for 16, 29-point game.
Yeah.
Uh so like uh throughout this entire game, like I could just kind of feel that we weren't exactly making most of what like was given to us, and that was a big problem. Like I understand DeMar coming back shooting 5 for 14.
Hmm.
Like I understand him not being able to kind of score as efficient just because he'd been gone for 2 games. Maybe a little something was on his mind. Like, it it happens.
Yeah, I
But
think De-
like
I think DeMar gets the pass for this game.
and yeah, but like the rest of our team, like 4 for 10, 5 for 12, 6 for 14, 2 for 7, like it wasn't super pretty coming from our team. And I guess like our rooks, our not our rooks, our youngins were playing pretty good. Keldon especially playing out of his mind. It was more or less our vets that were kind of missing their shots. And we can kind of talk about it once we finish the stats, but like, Keldon getting 29, uh and then like on their team, Christian Wood, we knew he was going to be a problem, getting 27.
Mhm.
And I kind of forget his name. I don't know if it's
It's
Sterling.
it's Sterling, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, Sterling Brown, right? So he came out of nowhere and got 23 for them. So it like they they were hitting all their shots and we were missing all of our shots to like put it in a very simple like stance.
Yeah.
But then to get more into it, at the end of the game, Pop has Patty Mills out there who wasn't shooting great all night, but Lonnie Walker sitting on the bench, and Lonnie was in a good rhythm at that point,
Yeah.
but he
Yeah.
kept him out of the game towards the end. So
Yeah, and I know that there was a few questions about like he started holding onto his wrist a little bit right there in the fourth quarter,
oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
and,
for sure,
and
for
so,
sure.
so I know that some people were asking like I wonder if they held him out because of that, but then I think he addressed it in his post game interview saying like no, my hand was fine, like I was ready to be out, I was ready to be there out there if they called me out to be out there. So at that point then you're like, all right, yeah, like something should change, or maybe it's like, can we look at something to, can we look at changing something about how we are closing this game? Because I would agree. The whole game felt a little bit sloppy, or like you were saying, it's like we're just not capitalizing on the things that we should be. And it's a close game, 109-105. But like you're saying, if we're doing even just a little bit of some of the things that we should have done, it should be, even if it's a close game, because division matchup is a real thing. um the argument of like, even though they're a depleted team and they're lacking their what used to be their star player, who's now in Brooklyn, they're still a collection of NBA talent, and so it's like you can understand that it's a competitive game, but like you said, with our execution, with the fact that we have more cohesiveness, the fact that we had more bodies, we should have squeaked this one out, or we should have gotten the win on this one.
Hmm.
I will say, kind of like I was saying before about like Baisley or even Reed or some of the Minnesota guys, I really did enjoy watching Tate. I enjoyed watching Tate and Brown, and obviously Christian Wood is a young guy too. But I've seen him now in the preseason. I've seen him in some other games too. And plus, he's getting a lot of national attention right now, deservedly so. He's taking advantage of his opportunity right now, which is great. But I really enjoyed watching Tate. Like he took it to LA at the end of the game. Like or really, who a lot of people took it to LA at the end of the game, driving in on the paint. Kudos to those guys kind of showing up on a short-handed night for their squad. And then PJ is always, PJ brings that toughness all the time. I'm surprised that like, can you go back to the Spurs numbers? Yeah, so this was the Keldon game. I wonder, like, I would be interested to go back and watch that game and see, like, what did Tucker do defensively? Like, was he on DeRozan most of the night? And maybe that helped. Maybe that helped them because maybe DeRozan was a little passive at the beginning and not making, kind of just basically taking himself out. Or
And that
or
for
or
sure.
did he step up and like really kind of stop Lonnie and DJ from like getting to their spots or taking better shots? Like what, like I'd be
Mhm.
curious to watch that because Tucker is a disruptor, and especially like we rely heavily on our guards, and and they drive a lot. They drive a whole bunch, but they're kind of small. And man, I remember there was one sequence when we played Houston in the preseason where it was two of our guards on the right side of the court. Spacing wasn't too good. Uh, um, and so Tucker literally just like stood there with really good defense, body defense, and like locked one dude up, didn't let him pass. And then as soon as the pass went over, just kind of shifted over and like immediately hounded the next guy and used that size again. Like, and none of our guys were pushing through him. You know what I mean? So I would be
Yeah,
curious to see how we handled that during this game.
I if memory stands right for me, at the very end of the game at least, I can remember that it was PJ Tucker on DeMar, and that was another thing. Like towards the end of the game, instead of giving it to the hot hand of Keldon, we gave it to DeMar.
Yeah.
And DeMar, like I said, like he does get the pass for the game, but when our coaching decisions are let's give DeMar the ball at the end of the game and see if he can make something up, like
Yeah.
no, he hadn't made anything up at the entirety of this game. Why are we trying to let him do it at the end of the game?
Yeah,
Like,
and we've seen it now a couple times. Like if you and if we can kind of switch gears a little bit, we can kind of combine the two games. But when you look at the second game, you kind of see more of like the DeMar pace, which is like right towards the end of the third, going into the fourth, is when he really starts to look for those mid range and starts to get into that rhythm. So it's like if you see, I think that's a good indicator for us. It's like uh, um seeing when our guys are okay, now it's my time to kind of start to get up into that rhythm. And then if DeMar is like feeling it, if you saw him make 2 or 3 good little pull-ups and some drives, and if you saw him setting those shot attempts up for like good assists or whatever, then at the end of the game it's like, okay, we've seen enough of what you've been bringing to the table this game in order to give you that, because we are going to try to have to figure out, are we always going to go through DeMar, or are we going to be cool with giving Lonnie a game winner, KJ a game winner? You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I would have liked to have seen, especially during that first Houston game, I would have liked to have seen one of the guys who was in rhythm be more featured in terms of how we try to get those points towards the end. I mean, I understand, DeMar is a closer, so I'm not,
Yeah.
can't knock it at the end of the day, when everybody talks about like you give it to your best player and you let them do what they can do. Like I understand all that, but
Hmm.
like kind of like you're saying, in the context of the game, maybe we could have went a different way, and maybe they thought that, because we definitely saw some adjustments in the second Houston game. A lot more poised, a lot more like you said, like doing what the defense is going to give you, just kind of do that and hit our shots. You know what I mean? So, man, 9 for 25 from DeRozan. That kind of surprised me. I didn't get a chance to watch the first half of this game. I was on the road, so I did get a chance to watch how we closed it, and I was pretty happy with how we kind of came down the stretch. I don't know, what are your overall thoughts, or if you want to run down numbers and then get into your thoughts on this second game against Houston.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't able to catch the entirety of this game. I was able to get like little bits and pieces as well. But like to see DeMar shoot 9 for 25, like honestly, like it's kind of the same thing like I was saying with the last game, that like he's still coming back. Like he's still like, this is his second game coming back. So I'll give like a slide of the fact that we gave him 25 shots, just because it's a game for us to be like, all right, DeMar, here's a game for you to take 25 shots and then get your rhythm back for
Yeah,
these next couple games.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree. I hope that that's kind of what it was.
right, and like I wouldn't be upset if that was what was explained.
Yeah, but but
So
but then but then again, like we talk about shots having to go around. Maybe he felt obliged to take more shots, because when you see like Lonnie Walker
Marcus
only
with
taking
two
eight,
for seven,
yeah,
and
exactly.
Lonnie being 2 for 8, 0 for 4 from the 3-point line, which like the last couple games, even if he wasn't like great, at least he was scoring 2, 3 out of his 7 that he would shoot. So like, you know that like that's something that I was gonna bring up, that like you could just kind of tell that our perimeter shooting was a little bit off the mark this
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
Um, and then yeah, like our two of our starters not being able to get as many shots, but not making those little shots that they were trying to take. Like that's definitely something that we brought. And seeing LaMarcus only have 17 minutes, I don't know if he got in foul trouble during the game, but he didn't play that much, so that's definitely something. But
yeah, and
another
he
thing,
and he also was out like during the crunch time, right? It was Yak who was ended the game on the floor.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I think so. So that's another thing that I kind of wanted to point out. Like at whenever I was gone and I wasn't able to watch the game, I was just kind of like paying attention to the little box scores that the Spurs app gives you at the end of every quarter. And when I saw the end of the first quarter, and I don't think it was like a crazy deficit, but I saw that Jakob was our leading scorer, I was so scared for this game. It scared me. I was like, oh, Jakob is okay, all right, we're just gonna have to roll with it then. And then I remember hearing in the third quarter, Demar picked up his game a little bit more, and it made me less tense about that at least. But still, like the overall scoring wasn't crazy out here. So I guess just to see Demar take 25 shots because everybody else wasn't exactly on their mark, doesn't really make me too upset.
yeah, yeah. I'm happy. Like I'm happy for a game like this, and I think that is maybe what makes me feel a little bit better about the loss against Houston the couple nights before, is because that is a winnable game, right? You see the things in there, you're like, all right, there's enough in this formula to produce a win. Well, when I look at this stat line, and I looked at and I did go back and watch the highlights and stuff like that, but when you look at like how we kind of started the game, you look at these numbers and there is enough there for us to lose this game. You know what I mean? There's enough there for us to lose, and so I'm kind of happy like that we were able to kind of show the opposite, which is, if we're not shooting well from the so far, like this year, if we haven't been shooting well from the outside, it's proved pretty bad for us. Like we haven't been able to score enough points to win. You know what I mean? Those have been the games that we're losing. So it was good for me to see a game where we weren't shooting well, but we were still able to pull out that win. But then, they were shooting, I mean, 0 for 6, 0 for 1, 1 for 3, 0 for 4, 1 for 3. So they weren't doing too well other than Jones and McLemore from the outside either. You know what I mean? And maybe against a better team, we lose this game not shooting that well from the outside. You know what I mean? And that's understandable. I mean, 103 is not that high, for a 2021. So I understand, but on a night to night basis, you get what you can, and you try to get the win with what you're doing. So yeah, I was excited for us to be able to pull that out, and I think it really came down to like that last I don't know, man, it was maybe like 5 minutes or 6 minutes on the clock. DJ had 2 or 3 sequences in a row where he just had really good control over either his own drives or the assists he was trying to make. But he had really good poise and really good control over offense. That one kind of did a couple little dribbles, pushed it back to the left into just like a little free throw line jumper. Like that whole sequence, even though he was kind of dominating the ball that time, he just felt so in control. Like as soon as he pushes it over back into the baseline, or sorry, to the free throw line, it was like as soon as he started going into a shot, I felt so good. I was like, all right, good. Like it's in rhythm. He looks good. That's a good shot, and it went in. So I was happy to see that from Murray. And when it comes to like Jakob, man, obviously everybody wants him to jam more, and I guess that's understandable, when you're a big guy. But I just think that like he's right on the cusp, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of those little tiny 50-50 balls that slip out of his fingers and they go this way when they could have went this way. So,
Oh my goodness.
I think he just had more opportunities this game to kind of some of those things kind of slid his way, yesterday. And so I think he can do this a lot more and have more efficient nights. I don't know if he's gonna go 6 for 7 every night, but I mean, even if he gets 7 shot attempts and he's going a 4 for 7 and above, then okay. If he's getting you 8 points and still giving you, I mean, if he can give us 11 rebounds every night, we're going to need that, especially, Aldridge has been averaging really, or like the past couple games, people have been hating on his rebounds. And I understand 2 rebounds, it doesn't look high, but it also feels like Aldridge is just out of the paint a lot more. Like against Christian Wood, how many times do we see Christian Wood taking threes? Okay, so are you asking LA to close out? Because if he closes out, he's not going to go get a rebound. That's why DJ's there. DJ's the guy who goes in and jumps in and gets those. So I don't know. I'm excited to see. I think Pirtle can kind of come in and start to fill in some of those numbers a little bit. He's not going to do what LA does, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, like a quick, 7 field goals from Jakob, if they're just little touches under the rim, like he can't get upset at that at all. I want to, call out his little dink off the backboard in the game before when he had a wide open layup. That pass from DJ looked so pretty just for Jakob to dink it off the back.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like he's so big, but he still comes at it from like the ball from like underneath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, get your arm up there and throw it down. Yeah, throw it down, man. Come on. So I understand. I understand not the hate, but I understand the want to take advantage of your size. I mean, you are
frustration.
Yeah, I mean, you are putting yourselves out there a little bit when you throw a center out there who's more of a traditional center. You do put yourself behind the 8 ball a little bit in terms of like, the small ball era, and maybe putting him in bad positions where he has to go and defend some super fast guy. Well, we want to see. I understand like the want of like, well, we want to see the flip side of that, which is put other defenses in hard positions because we have a 7-footer out there who can just jam over people. So I get it.
Mhm.
I definitely get it. Rudy Gay, 5 points. That's kind of a rough night. We need efficiency from Rudy and from Rudy and Patty. We just need that efficiency.
Mhm. Especially with
Devin,
Derek out.
yeah, exactly why. Devin Vassell, I am glad. He hasn't. He's been everything that you want from a rookie. Because he's very smart, but he's very willing, and he's been taking advantage of his extra PT. So I mean,
Mhm.
another pretty good showing from him. Of just you won't really see it when you look at the stat line. When you see 3 for 7, he only had 3 trips to the line or 3 attempts at the line. His numbers don't jump out to you all that much. Five defensive rebounds, 7 overall. But I mean, he just puts himself in good positions. He goes after the ball. He's really smart. He plays pretty good on ball defense a lot of the times. So I mean, I don't know. That I know that was your boy early on, but I think that he's everybody's boy now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like, uh, that's definitely one thing over like these last couple times that like I've talked over the box scores is like I don't really bring Devin too much if he has a bad scoring night, just because whenever I watch the games and stuff and I see Devin out there, it's not even like he's taking bad shots. He's just going out there and doing like putting himself in that offense. Like it's not looking like we have a rookie who doesn't know what he was doing. And the only times I'll say like it ever really happened with like Lonnie and DJ were when they were young, So like there'd be times where we'd have to kind of throw Lonnie out there just for a couple minutes at a time, and as Spurs fans we'd be happy, but when looking at it, like Lonnie just kind of looked a little too sporadic. Maybe he just didn't understand what was happening right now, and with Devin, to me it's completely different. He's able to get out there and even if like I said, he's a rookie, so obviously he's still taking his time to adjust. It's not like he had the full off season after the draft to get introduced to the Spurs system, but like in this short amount of time, he's able to do this, and I can't get mad at that. Even if it's not pretty, sometimes like at least he like he's like you said he's willing to do um he's willing to go out there and do a lot for our team and whatever our team asks him to do, whether that's kind of running around being an off ball pest on defense or running around being an off-ball three-point shooter on our offensive side. So he he goes out there and he just does whatever Pop says and tries his best at it. Can't ask for more from a rookie right now.
Yeah, and I mean his high release and some of his like mechanics, you can tell it's like, all right, if we can start to put him in good positions, he's gonna help us later on. Like when we actually start to look for him versus him just kind of being out there and having to find the open spot. Yeah, he's gonna be a big asset to us later on. So man, I've been enjoying watching him play. He is very calm, very cool. Man, before we kind of switch over, I will say, man, I was a little disappointed in our in our loss against Houston. Kind of like you were talking about, like that pretty pass gets wasted by the blown layup. It's like we had so many great, like man, that long bounce pass from DJ down the court, and then also that was the game that we got that one alley oop, right? We got DeMar throwing it up.
Yep.
So man, I'm so excited for when we can be more consistently bringing some of those highlight plays. And we didn't really talk about this when we talked about the first game against Houston, but it was like we got bumped up to the national TV spot. And so I think that's why a lot of the frustration came from Spurs fans too, is like, we know that we are not normally on the big stage and that this was an opportunity. And I think it just, and I think Spurs fans get a little rubbed the wrong way when they watch the TNT broadcast and like they're talking a lot about like Houston's situation. Understandably, they were still going through the James Harden stuff. They had an emerging star, Christian Wood. They were playing shorthanded. They have a brand new head coach, so like they have a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? So, but I understand, like people want us to They want them to talk about us. I think they did. I think Grant Hale and them. I forgot his name. I think it was like Anderson, Brian Anderson, maybe. The other announcer. They did a decent amount of time talking
Yeah.
about the Spurs. Their stories of the Spurs are. But it's funny though because their stories of the Spurs are about the past, and which is
Hmm.
we have to be like DJ said, we have to be the ones to go and make them talk about us now. You know what I mean?
Instead of talking about the Spurs of the past.
Because they don't
Right.
really, I mean, when they talk about the Spurs, they lead off with Pop all the time, and then they talk about DeMar DeRozan, they talk about LaMarcus Aldridge, and then that's it, and then they go away, right?
Mhm.
So like
And maybe they'll talk about the young guys for 2 minutes.
yeah,
Give them a bit of a spotlight, but just
but
not too much.
they don't know about Keldon Johnson like we know about Keldon Johnson yet. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I understand the mindset of like we have to go and show them who we are when we have that opportunity. And so on that night it was Christian Wood who kind of took that spotlight and said,
Hmm.
I mean he has more of the floor, but so anyways, I'm excited for when we'll be able to kind of bring those because we bring those highlight plays most of the time coming off of like steals and those dunks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited when that's just more of a common occurrence, and when our guys start to get a name for that because they're really good at it.
When we finally get our nickname for the Spurs, Young Core,
Yeah, right.
something like that, right?
Some yeah, exactly. And who knows? Maybe it'll be a young big guy that comes in and ties it all together and creates like some kind of unit or whatever.
Which I saw like in some little quote from DJ talking about KJ and how he's already growing to be a vocal leader, and I love to hear that. They said that he likes to talk a lot of mess whenever they're in the locker room. So then of course once they're on the court and stuff, KJ's the one that has to try to show up like whenever he is the one that talks a lot. So
Hey,
it's funny.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them having stuff that they need to prove to each other too. That's fine
Hmm.
with me. You know what I mean? So
It, it was really nice to see that the chemistry's are it was already good, and it just sounds like the chemistry's building even more between our young guys. So I
yeah.
can't be mad at that at all.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna start to switch over to looking forward, real quick while Jake is kind of getting those numbers up. I do just want to reiterate. Uh, Thanks to everybody who's been watching us. We've had some people in and out, mostly on Facebook. So shout out to Facebook watchers. But if you're catching us on the Periscope app or on our YouTube channel, whether it be on the live broadcast or like on the replay, we really appreciate you guys coming and checking us out. This is our 6th episode, so we've been doing it officially now for 6 weeks. But we're still pretty young in terms of our channel development and like the things that we want to do. We've sat down recently and kind of started to hash out some ideas of ways to kind of do some other shows other than just our Sunday show. But we really appreciate anybody who kind of clicks in even just for a little bit. So if you enjoy hanging out with us for even just a little bit, click the like on the button on the video and give us a share, give us a comment, throw anything in there. We want to try to build any kind of conversation we can, whether it be through Facebook, YouTube. We're just trying to we're doing our stream across all the platforms, kind of to fill it out a little bit. We might even do one where we go up on Twitch also, just to kind of see what that's like as well. So we've had a lot of fun so far, just kind of seeing what we can do as a group, exploring our voices a little bit, getting some of our online chemistry together. I would say that the talks that we've had so far on the show are not exactly the talks that we have like when we're just the 3 of us, or the 4 of us or the 5 of us. If we're talking off camera and stuff. So we're working to kind of bring some of that. Some of the things that go on between us. We're working on how to make that come across. So we really appreciate anybody who's joined us and checked in. It makes us it's going to make us better. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, just wanted to throw that out there before we kind of switch gears. So, Jake, you ready to kind of switch and start talking about the 3? We have 3 games for this week.
Yep, I'm good.
All right, sweet.
Okay, so our first game coming up, it's going to be against the Trailblazers, and obviously we know they got their two-headed beast in Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. But It's very unfortunate to see that Yusuf Nurkic is out real quick. Just to say that he's if I'm not mistaken fractured his wrist.
Yeah,
Something's
and while you're talking about that, I feel like I just heard this morning, yeah, from last night's game, CJ McCollum suffered a foot injury, I believe.
Oh, okay. So now we're only just gonna see the one-headed dragon and Damian Lillard tonight. So
Yeah.
but
Monday.
Monday, yeah, sorry, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Uh and which, in some cases that can be even scarier seeing Damian Lillard take 45 shots instead of seeing him take his 30. So um this
Real
team
quick,
all
I just,
around.
I just want to throw it out there. Yeah, so it says MRI results revealed that the injury is a sprain, not anything worse. We do not yet have a prognosis for McCollum's return to action. So, I would say it's a pretty safe bet. He's out against San Antonio. But the good thing is it's not like
Not too
it's
serious.
yeah, not too serious. Good. All right.
But so yeah, this team, especially without CJ and Yusuf Nurkic, this team doesn't look too crazy. They have some really solid support. Melo is a very big, very respected vet in today's league. Robert Covington has always been a very solid 3-and-D type prospect player and everything. And I've always liked Derek Jones Jr. He's always been somebody another like undrafted guy that I just liked watching and stuff like that from like Phoenix into Miami last year and now Portland this year. So
Yeah, that's where I noticed him from was Miami. That's right. Okay.
he's definitely a cool little player. It'll be kind of fun just to see him run around catching an oop or two from Damian Lillard. But all in all, this team like in my opinion, like when at full strength, they're a solid little playoff team. But like when it's only Damian Lillard, if Damian Lillard's on it, it's going to be a little scary. If he's not, then I think we'll be able to have some solid crowd control against them this week.
Yeah.
Uh, just to kind of look at their leaders, uh, Damian Lillard, obviously, he's going to be leading them in 27 with 27. CJ, that's 26 that they're not going to be having.
Yeah.
So that's something that like we'll see maybe Carmelo or maybe Robert Covington. Even I saw Rodney Hood right there.
Oh yeah,
Even
Hood.
they might try to
I'm
pick up that slack.
I'm surprised that Hood is like, well, what is Hood scoring again this year? Like his points per game, because that's a big drop off between 26 and 12. They're 2 to 3 in terms of their leaders. Yeah, so I'm surprised that I would imagine Hood maybe is around 12 too, because if anything less than that seems pretty short, unless he was missing time.
Let's see.
But yeah, but like you're saying, with CJ being out, you can really okay. So I see Rodney Hood. Does that say 1.6?
He might not have been.
Maybe
Let's
he's
see. Yeah, Rodney Hood 1.6.
he must be
Um,
missing time. He must be missing time
wait,
then.
no, he's played 11 games.
Oh my God, that's surprising.
Well,
That's
yeah, very
surprising.
surprising.
Surprising because Disney didn't. I feel like he just got like a contract, or maybe last year. Excuse
Well,
me.
he is coming off a pretty serious injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Like around the bubble time.
a little bit before the bubble time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're not trying to hate on him, but I just assumed that he was scoring points from. Yeah. So okay. Well then it's most likely what you just said. Covington, Mello, and who else? I guess.
Maybe Derek Jones Jr. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Or I mean, even Gary
Yeah,
Trent, 11.5.
Gary Trent. Gary Trent Jr. has been very solid for them, and he might be. He was definitely showing some very good promise in the bubble, and so obviously you can tell that he's doing pretty well in the time for this season. So, like maybe he does take a step forward, and his Cantor is somebody who like he's not a defensive center at all. So it's like maybe they just give him a little bit more of an offensive load just because Yusuf Nurkic isn't there anymore.
Yeah, the good thing for us is they don't really have too many of those like dynamic big men who can be out on the 3-point line and then throw a pump fake and take 2 dribbles and be at the rim for a dunk or something like that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So this is definitely an opportunity for like Jakob and for LA to kind of have more of those traditional big man roles and to be pretty successful. I would think that LA would have a pretty decent shot to have a good game against these guys, which is good. I think he bounced back pretty well too. Like the last time he was getting some heat, and then he came back and played really well. So I anticipate him playing well again. And that's the thing, man. Like I think like we've been analyzing or like going game by game and talking about rosters. And as the series or season progresses, it's like every night we are, I think it's going to benefit us that we have like Yak and LA being more traditional, just because like we have a little bit of that versatility. There's going to be nights where it's going to be beneficial for us to go in the post. I mean, we saw it against Reed. We even against that second game against Houston, we went and attacked Christian Wood. You know what I mean? Even like at the end of the first game, we attacked Christian Wood. And the way that we chose to do that sometimes was with our guards, but a lot of times it was just give the ball to LA and put him on your back, like make him do something. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
make him go out there. If he's gonna beat you by scoring 28 points and by like holding down LA in the post and blocking his shots and making, then okay, then that's just what it is. But I mean, so I think LA should that could be a good point of attack for us. Holding Melo back, holding Gary back, holding Covington back. I don't know how do you feel up to the task defensively against obviously Dame Lillard is its own thing, but in terms of stopping the other guys.
Honestly, yeah, like it's really gonna be like how much Lonnie and Keldon can kind of contain that to start it off, and then obviously like I think in terms of like dynamic players who we're gonna kind of be relying on. I know we say this a lot, but I feel like it's gonna be another Keldon game. Just another game where it looks like he's gonna be able to attack a little bit more, and then like people like their forwards and stuff like that are going to be trying to play the 4 spot are not going to be bigger than Keldon Johnson.
Yeah.
So like he'll be able to keep them out of the paint. Like if let's just say they really do try to run this game through Melo. Like if they try that, we put Keldon on him. We're not going to let an old man Melo try to go to work against Keldon Johnson.
Yeah. But Melo is he comes off their bench.
He might. I'm not too sure. Actually, let me go ahead and take a look at their projected starting lineups.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like he's probably gonna be out there with like Rudy Gay, which
and if he is,
that'll be a good old school small forward matchup, a 3-on-3 kind of thing.
yeah, for sure. That'd be super fun to watch. I never really got to watch a prime Rudy and a prime Melo duke it out, so it'll be
like when I think about like small forwards, that's like the size, the size that I think of is like is like a Rudy Gay. Yeah, like anything smaller than that, you got to be a shooting guard or a point. I know I'm like way out of touch with how they think about positions now, because that's literally how I see it. Or if it's like, all right, if you start to get bigger than Rudy, don't put him at the 3 because he'll get roasted. Put him at the 4. You know what I mean? Like that's just where my brain is stuck at. But
right.
So
this is showing like the most common lineups, right? And obviously, this was the 14 games that they ran with Yusuf Nurkic, but now he's hurt, so they just slid Enes Kanter into that spot. If I go to their bench, obviously Yusuf Nurkic not going to be playing this game, but I could see maybe Gary Trent Jr. sliding into the starting role, given and then them giving more minutes to Rodney Hood. Obviously, Anthony Simmons is their young point guard behind Damian Lillard.
mm-hmm.
But you can kind of just see like by the games that these guys have played that like maybe these younger guys right here are going to be a little bit more into these rotations just because CJ is going to be gone.
Yeah.
So maybe Melo still is coming off the bench for them just to kind of give them that scoring, but I could also see them kind of going a little bit bigger and just like sliding up one, right? Covington or maybe Covington stays at the 4, Melo to the 3, whichever way that they wanna run that. I'd honestly say Covington at the 3, just so that they'd put him against DeMar.
I feel like it would. I
And
feel
then
like
Johnson.
it would make their second unit a little smaller, though, huh? If they had if they
If they
had
didn't have,
Carmelo in the starting.
yeah, you're right. I could see that. From the position wise, they don't really have anybody except for Zach Collins. But I actually think Zach Collins is hurt right now. Obviously, he hasn't played a single game this year. So, um,
Mm.
but I don't think this thing has like listed heights or anything like that. But I've heard that like Nasir Little's a little bit more of a sizing small forward, so
Mm.
maybe he could run the 4. But you're
Yeah.
right. Like maybe they do just end up running Gary Trent and then keeping that size on the bench for whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel like and not only for the size, but also for the experience and for the scoring, like you said, but more of just like you need to have more of a balanced attack for 48 minutes if if you're gonna go hard on the start, unless you're trying to just like pull a Seattle Seahawks or something like that and just like pounce on them and take them out within the first quarter or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think we're a little too deep we'll be able to withstand something like that. So. This will be this will be a good game. I do wish that like Nurkic was in, just so we can and CJ too, because we've had a lot of good benchmark games at the beginning of the year, and so I'm looking forward to. These are the teams that we need to beat them, obviously, to try to stay ahead of them in the standings. But I want to see how are we gonna fare against them, because it's gonna matter if it's a play-in game, or if it's, hey, you need to beat Portland in a regular season game, but loser doesn't make it to the play-in game or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it definitely could come down to it at the end of the year. So
Yeah, this is that team that always fights for that like a couple years they do have like that lock in 6th, 5th spot, but these last couple years, they've been fighting for that 8th seed a lot. So it's like, this is a team that we're, like you said, we're gonna be looking at them, one to lose towards the end if we're close, but two, we're gonna be looking back at it like, oh, did we beat these guys
yeah,
at the beginning of the year? And
yeah,
and if we would have been able to play them full strength now, that would have been nice. That would have been nice to see, because like you said, yeah, it would be a whole lot better to see us beat a Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Yusuf Nurkic team now, rather than see what it looks like later in the season.
yeah. But on the flip side of that, because we talk a lot, and the Spurs Twitter and the Spurs fandom kind of talks a lot about like playing up and down to our competition, and like playing really well against the good teams and playing kind of poorly against the teams that in your eyes we should be beating. So we can think of this as the flip side of that, which is, okay, here's another team that is not at full strength. They're missing some really big key pieces. Can we have the mindset and the execution and the poise to go and win that game, because we feel like we should win that game? You know what I mean?
You just take care of business.
Exactly, take care of business. I like that. So I mean, this is one of those ones where it's like, okay, we did lose we lost a winnable game to Houston. We lost a winnable game to Minnesota. We lost a winnable game to the Pelicans earlier on in the year. So you can have your reasonings to justify it or to any of those losses if you want. But regardless, we came up with the loss, and we could have come out with the win. And later on, they proved to be very important. So we're at the point now of the year where it's like, all right, let's start turning some corners on some of the bad things that we're doing. One of them being that, and you know what I mean. So let's. I would be happy if we could not have this be. I'm not saying that, not to say we have to win in a big blowout or the deficit has to be big, but I want us to show that we are able to execute and take care of business, like you just said. You know what I mean? We should have enough to come out with a win, even if it's maintaining a huge barrage of Lillard 3-pointers in the fourth quarter or something. Okay, we should still have enough. Plus, when you're looking ahead, sorry, I'm trying to get the schedule back up on my phone. But when you're looking ahead, and we got like another division game coming up with Dallas, this week on Friday, it's like we need to win these games, because we need to. There's nothing else to say. We need to
Yeah.
win them. We need to win them. So, anything else on Portland? It feels a little bit different talking about them without knowing that CJ's out, knowing that
That Jokic won't be playing and
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Um,
But
yeah, nothing much other than just like kind of repeating like our title for today's podcast is called the sum of our parts, and the way I see it is like, you know, we've been playing against incomplete teams. We're still a little bit incomplete, still kind of fixing our blocks together to make our perfect shape, right? And
mhm.
this is another team that, like, while they are more complete than others, that because of these injuries, they're going to be another incomplete team that we're going to be playing against to see what will fare. Like you said, um, of us kind of playing down and playing up to our competition. I Yeah, like I completely agree. Like we just need to come in and not let anything ruin us, not shoot ourselves in the foot. You know,
Yeah.
just come in and get our W against another incomplete team to
Yeah.
to build more of us.
Yeah, I agree. So, speaking of another incomplete team, we'll get half of the Splash Brothers on Wednesday when we take on Golden State. I'm excited for this one because the Spurs and Golden State have some history going all the way back to what was it, 2013, I think. When we played them in the second round, and they were just a little bit too young at that moment. At that, uh,
I actually think that we played him in 2014,
it might have been, it was 13 or 14.
but
Mark
I
Jackson still was the coach. But yeah, so like, our history kind of goes back, at least like our like recent playoff history goes back, like I would say, like starting at that moment where they were a little too young, and then the 2 or 3 years in a row where they just like pounced on us, 16, 17. Those are some pretty rough years, having to watch like what we knew was going to be Duncan and Ginobili's and Tony's, like, some of their final years. It was rough having to sit through the Warriors team. But as like an NBA fan, I was pretty excited to see them like in 2015, play Cleveland. And now that they're minus Kevin Durant, and it's a lot easier to be more excited to watch this team play. You know what I mean? Because they're incredible, and Stephen Curry is incredible all the time. But now that you feel like the playing field's a little bit more level, it's like, okay, cool. Like now I can cheer for you making all these crazy shots.
Mhm.
But anyways, let's kind of bring up what they have currently, right?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick that I still cry about 2017, but we'll move on from that. So this Warriors team, again, talking about incomplete teams. You know, they don't have Klay Thompson for the rest of this year, and that's very unfortunate. Like, Klay cannot catch a break, but it's still another year for them to kind of move with their younger pieces. You know, James Wiseman is the guy that they just drafted. He looks really good right now, and Andrew Wiggins, thank the Lord, has kind of stepped it up a little bit. He's kind of picked up his pieces from the beginning of the season when it just did not look pretty for him. Uh,
For who again?
Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, yeah. He did have a rough start for sure.
hmm And so I know a lot of people lost hope, and I'm not gonna say that I didn't lose hope, but I'm not gonna say that I was back on my Andrew Wiggins train
Yeah,
of
well,
the
I
sport.
mean, credit to him for putting the work in, but also credit to like Draymond Green, and I would say Steph too. For just, they have a new role now, man. They have to be able to corral and teach, and you know what I mean.
hmm
They have to be able to bring along a lot of their players up to their level, because they've been playing championship basketball for years now. So and the other people on the other, I know that they know that too. I know that they know what the task is, but it's one thing to say like, yeah, I want to be on a championship level team, and it's another to actually like become one. So it's cool. It's cool to see Steph and Draymond kind of leading the charge. I haven't been able to see like Kevon Looney like his like leadership role, his impact is probably a little bit more on the bench and in their locker room in terms of like what he brings as a mentor or whatever.
Hmm.
But I do want to, he's also one of those guys who's been around during their championship runs and stuff
And
like that. Yeah.
that is a little bit on a bit of like, because Steph and Draymond were of like into their like, they're not even old, right? But like they were into like their young primes going into that like Warriors dynasty. Kevon Looney was a baby when they were winning rings. Like he's not and I don't mean it like in a bad way at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
he was just young. He was a young player that they drafted late, and he just stuck around with them. And like you said, like his mentor role probably isn't like crazy, but that's for sure something that like the other young players like join, and they see a player like Kevon Looney who was very young when he was in this Warriors team, and now look where he is with
Yeah.
them.
And that's the thing that like us as Spurs fans or anybody who's going to play against the Warriors, you look at a guy like Kent Bazemore or Kelly Oubre who've made names for themselves in other places and have, regardless of if you've never felt like they've been able to take like the next step, they've had roles on every team they've been on. So when you see that kind of that kind of personnel getting added to like a Steph Curry and a Draymond and like the championship kind of ball and DNA that they've had the past couple of years, Coach Kerr included in all that talk as well. You get a little worried because you're like, okay, if Kent Bazemore can buy into a good championship system, he can be a good piece for them.
Yeah, he could.
We've been watching him in Atlanta, or I've been watching him in Atlanta for many years. And anytime that you're a solid NBA role player, you have, you got to be respected. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I haven't seen. I've only watched one Warriors game like almost all the way through. So I haven't got a chance to see like how Bazemore interacts with them, or even just like some of their other guys. So I am excited for this week's game to be able to kind of see what are they bringing, because again, here's another team right next to us in the standings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't mention him, but Eric Pascal, another young, or I think he was drafted late, and so he was a little bit older and stuff like that. But he came in last year and he was really solid. This year he just has just kind of doing the same that he was doing last year. He's pretty solid for them all around, and you can't be too upset about what this Warriors team is trying to do, especially when they don't have Klay Thompson. So
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? I don't know if you got a chance to watch them a whole bunch, but like, what do you think? Obviously, they're led by Steph Curry, right? We're gonna
mhm.
have to have eyes on him all time. I am actually super excited because we've been talking about our guards all year, and I've been pretty happy with like the defense we've been showing. It's like, okay, here's a guy who can just pull up from anywhere.
15 games. I don't think we've really gone against like a superstar point guard, and like it'll
Maybe
be
maybe
Portland.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, well, Donovan Mitchell's I'd say just more scoring shooting guard than I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say like a point guard that they'll run. He'll run the ball up and run his time with, right. And yeah, you're right. Donovan Mitchell is there, but he's a little bit younger, right? So he still has time to build. Um, Whereas like Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, we're gonna be meeting them
they're
right.
they're polished.
Yeah, exactly. They are the superstars that are constantly in the are these guys the top 10 players in the NBA, and obviously I definitely feel like Steph for sure is, and then Damian Lillard is always like in those conversations. Um and clearly they're both top 5 point guards in the league, if not 1 and 2 respectively. So it's uh it's going to be very exciting to see how well, like for me, seeing how well DJ will do against them for his time on the court, seeing how
Yeah,
well like if switches happen, see if Keldon can kind of hold him down for a possession, see if
yeah.
if
Now,
Lonnie does something, you
now,
know
I mean, we're talking about hopefully like being in good positions at all times. Like, do you see any nightmare situations where we're getting Steph Curry just getting open for shots because of like LA being on the floor or something
yeah.
like that? Like, how like is there how do you think that could play out?
If I literally see LaMarcus Aldridge guarding Draymond Green
Yeah,
in this perspective, I know, like, as much as I've not been a Draymond Green fan for the last couple of years because of how much he talks on the court, like, just a quick, like, of what I feel about him. Like I feel like he wasn't like an all-star level player, but he just kind of he played good to how good the team was, and now they're not good, and you can kind of see where his level is. But that's not to say that he's not a good leader. He's a great leader, and he's a smart player. So like he like if I see that on the matchups, and then Steph is out there on the court too, him, Draymond, Steve Kerr, like
Pick
those
and
three
roll.
people, yeah, they're gonna be smart enough to be like, yo, run that pick and roll.
Mhm.
Let's abuse this. And sure enough, if LaMarcus tries to if they try to not switch, Steph's just gonna get a wide open three. If they
I'm
do
wondering
switch,
if it's going to be one of those things of like, all right, instead of having Steph Curry go off and make 5 threes in a row, let's just tempt Draymond Green to do it. He's done it before, and he's done it
mm-hmm,
before against us too, where he'll go for four from the 3 point line or something like that. But I mean, it's like
I'd much rather see
pick your
Draymond do that
poison.
than Steph.
Yeah, exactly. Pick your poison kind of thing. Now we can combat that a little bit because if we can force Draymond to kind of have to go and guard LA out on the three, LA can drop three, a 4 for 4 night if given the right rhythm and put in the right position. So, maybe that is what we try to do is just force Draymond to be that outside scorer. But then again, if he's catching the ball, maybe he's not looking to shoot the ball. Maybe he's looking to swing it and find Kelly
Yeah,
or
yeah. Like
Ball or
I
some of these other
like
guys.
I said, I had never thought that Draymond was like the best player of imaginable, right? Like I never thought he was quite the all-star player that people painted him out to be in those years. But that's not to discredit that how good he is. He's still solid enough to make an impact on the court. And like if he is on a championship level team, it only makes him better when he's on the court too. So it's like, you know, uh he has his faults, but he also has good things about him that I think people will kind of not notice that a little bit about Draymond.
Oh yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, like kind of everything you just said about his leadership and just he's very smart. He's very smart. I loved seeing there's like some clips going around of him like having to direct traffic while he's dribbling the ball and
hmm
making his guys run around. Like I love to see that kind of stuff because I mean your coach can tell you all the right things, but 0 times out of there would be 0 games where Kerr can actually step on the floor and actually go play. It's got to be the players to go do it. So I
Yep.
love that. I love that they can have an extension of Kerr's message out there on the floor in Draymond Green. He makes him better. And for a guy like Kelly Oubre, it's like you want to see like or even like we were saying about like Andrew Wiggins. It's like you want them to. Or you want to see like putting them in a position like this where they have vocal leaders already on the court, where they have a DNA and a way of the way that they want to play already set. They have high standards. They have a leader. They have a good coach. They have all the right tools. It's like, okay, this is the best opportunity for a guy like Kelly Oubre or Wiggins to kind of take that next step. You know what I mean? So
hmm
it's possible for them. So it'll be our job to kind of hold them down a little bit too. Like Wiggins and Kelly Oubre on the floor at the same time. That's pretty. That's a lot of length.
hmm
So I'll be interested to see. I mean, Steph Curry demands so much attention that you can now take advantage of Wiggins' size and Oubre's size because people just have to stay home on Steph like all day.
And we're not even talking about James Wiseman either.
Yeah,
He's a young
exactly.
he is a young center who can if LaMarcus is out there playing against him, like and Steve Kerr and them, build up a solid game plan, it will not be looking pretty for us.
Yeah,
Even
go
if
ahead.
James Wiseman isn't the veteran that's already polished and stuff, like that offense is still good enough for them to be like, all right, let's do this. James, are
Yeah,
you ready? And James will just listen to what they got to say and work with what.
and we've seen already multiple times this year, like an athletic young big, do really well against us. Wiseman isn't necessarily the 3 point shooter, which is good because that'll limit the things that we have to kind of hold him down or whatever. How we try to approach defending him, but we've seen it many times before. So far, youth kind of attacking our bigs a little bit, or speed attacking our bigs. I do want to ask a little bit, and we can get into it now, or we can get into it a little later. I know we still have one more game to talk about, but we had a couple topics that we had brought up a long time ago. And now we're starting to get a little bit more of like some bigger sample sizes to kind of revisit some of these topics. So one of the biggest things that we talked about before this channel was even a thing, we were just sitting in somebody's kitchen or whatever, was the idea of adding LA to like the bubble play, right? And trying to be successful with the people that we had, and build off of the successful things we did when we were in the bubble, right? Well, I'll leave it here. So we've had some games now to see LA back. It took a little bit to get to this point because he wasn't with us at the beginning of the year. And to be honest, it might still be a little bit too early to really put the nail in the hammer on like where you officially stand. But like, we've seen some instances of him being pretty successful and having good shooting nights, both from the outside and from the inside. And then obviously we've had some nights where rebounds are pretty low, scoring is pretty low, and he just feels a little bit slow out there, or it just feels like it's not fitting at the moment, right? So I don't know. Just wanted to bring up that kind of set that same question, like what are some of the things that you've been seeing, and where do you stand on LA's fit with how we're trying to run our offense?
So, as much as it kind of contradicts itself, like for me, like it's crazy because I think the games that LA didn't play with us, we lost, right? But I still don't think that LA adding LA to the bubble Spurs offense works at all. Like I feel like his speed is still just a little too slow for it, for us to be able to work around it. And yeah, like I said, when we don't have LA on the court, it's because we're losing. But I think that if because I kind of think back to the bubble Spurs, right? We didn't have Devin, right? We didn't have LA. I'm trying to think of like who we had, who we didn't have, right? We had Derek on the team, which adds a lot more speed and polish and like stableness to the team all around.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Trey was also playing. No, Trey wasn't playing. I'm sorry.
It was mainly Jakob being our 5 with a bunch of smalls, and then Rudy. It was like Rudy and Jakob,
right.
basically.
Rudy playing that 5, and I think somewhat we can kind of run back to it, but I don't want to kind of like throw him under the rug and all this kind of stuff about like LA, but like if we traded LA for another big that could at least run with us a little bit more, and be able to just kind of like he doesn't have to score because we have scorers on our team. He just has to be able to be a big body out there, play some defense, get some boards, kind of just like what Jakob does, and just be like another body out there. I think we could rerun what we did with the bubble Spurs, and maybe the pace just slows down a little bit more just because we have another big out there instead of having LA.
Okay, I could definitely see that. And you are correct. Like, okay, we lost the games that he was out for, and we missed him sorely when he was out. And so he is important, and he's still very capable. And the thing that I love the most about like him in our offense is when we're able to do like the pick and pops, because I mean that is a part of his game that he's always had, but it's still viable in my opinion in today's NBA. Whereas a lot of people are just ready to get away from the post in general, which okay. So like I guess that's where I stand, is like I'm still not 100% like willing to depart from that. It just has a general philosophy of like putting the ball down low and finding mismatches from that point of the court. And so from that point of view of like, I still think we need that. That's why I still think it's okay for us to have LA, or that I think like, I guess I'm trying to say is that's where I still think that he could be beneficial and successful on our team is is we do still need all of the things that he can do well. We need somebody who can score down low. We need somebody who has touch at the mid range, and he's still pretty streaky, and so is DeMar in terms of their outside shooting. But kudos to them to trying to spread it out. But it's apparent that that's still like the weakest part of our offense is like pulling him out and trying to see what that looks like. But I agree with all the things that you're saying about like defense. Like there's just been a lot of times where you can just see that we look a little bit out of position, and like there's not going to be a chance for us to recover. I mean, I know everybody's laughing at LA, and it's happened a couple times this year where he's kind of like taking a contest on the 3-point
Oh
shooter from like the paint. You're like,
oh
wow,
my goodness, man.
it's like just let him shoot. Like, what? You don't have to jump. You
Yeah,
don't.
that's hilarious.
So I understand. I understand it from that point of view. And maybe I'm just a little blinded because I know that without him, even if we had an athletic big man that fit more to like that run and like you're saying can keep up a little bit more, I still think we would end up losing more games overall. And maybe that's what is kind of holding me back from it. Is like I know that we stand a much better chance to win with LaMarcus Aldridge, and I'm not really ready to like just go ahead and say like, yeah, it's okay if we like lose the next 15 games like that.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
really sit right with me just yet. So maybe that's where my head's at.
No, yeah, I understand that, and like for me, obviously I've been the one out of all of us on the podcast that's like more okay with losing than winning in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but like if honestly you're saying that you think we'd lose, but I think the experiment would be a win. That like if we traded LA for some center, I'm very big on Miles Turner. I love Miles Turner, and I don't know how we would make the trade or anything like that because at the moment he's been playing out of his mind, and it looks like he's happy in Indiana. So like it's not like he's going to be requesting a trade anytime soon. But
Yeah.
if for some magical circumstances happen and we were able to just get just to trade LaMarcus for Miles Turner, I feel like the experiment would be a win overall because one, it opens up shots. Yes, like let's just say like I don't know how many shots per game Miles Turner is averaging, but like obviously some of the shots that LA took are going to be going to him, right? But those like extra 6, maybe 7 shots that LA was taking, those are going to our young guys, because our pace is going a little bit more,
Yeah.
and we're getting more shots because our pace is higher, right?
Yeah.
We're getting more shots because our pace is higher, and our young guys are going to be able to kind of do a more run and gun style, right? Like just get out there, use your legs and find some open shots,
Yeah.
like I think that the experiment as a whole would be a win even if we lose games because
I agree. I agree.
if
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for taking not the intentional loss, but putting knowing that the stuff that you put out there is not going to be enough for a lot of the nights because you're hoping that it's going to be enough later on down the road. You know what I mean? But then to kind of go along with your argument, and maybe like you're talking in this scenario, you swapped out like Miles Turner, which is another like pretty big name. And maybe in my head, I'm thinking like when we lose LA, it's going to be for like replacing him with like a young big man who's going to be not ready yet. You know what I mean? Like in my head,
oh
maybe
yeah,
that. You know what I mean? So maybe that's where I'm going. And then also like because based off of what I've seen so far, like we said earlier, like DeMar DeRozan missed a game, came back, and was kind of out of rhythm for most of the game, and they still give the ball to him to win the game. So it's like LA and DeMar are still our go-tos. When DeMar was out, we were giving it to LA to win the game. You know what I mean? So my thing is like knowing that it's okay if we lose LA, like are we like we haven't shown yet that we're ready to give the ball to Lonnie to win the game, to give the ball to DJ to win the game, or you know what I mean? Maybe Derek White. You know what I mean? I would say that you could probably look in the clips from last year or even previous and find moments of Derek White having the ball in his hands when it was the time. But I don't know. It's like I haven't seen the Spurs really give the reins over to the young guys 100% yet. So I'm like, okay, we're showing that we still are relying on our vets. So maybe I'm just a victim of that, like kind of seeing it from the Spurs front office point of view and like being willing to just go along with what they're doing, maybe.
hmm
So
Well, I guess for me, if because I love the fact that I talked about it before, but like I love the fact that we have like a cushion with the vets, but I need to see us rely on our young guys more.
yeah,
When eventually all four of those vets are not going to be on the Spurs. You know, eventually, like it could be as early as next year where all four of them could be
yeah, we could
gone.
have, yeah,
All four of them could be gone as early as next year. But you know, uh, if we don't rely on them sooner than later, and then next year, um, we don't have any of those four people. Maybe we do pick up a vet or two, but that vet isn't going to be our leader. He's going
yeah,
to come in and
yeah.
just be
The roles are definitely going to change here in the next couple years. You know what I mean?
exactly. And so
Yeah,
it's like, well, who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the one that takes charge at the end of the game? We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it come from Derek. I mean, we have seen it come from Derek. Sorry, we haven't seen it come from DJ yet. We haven't seen it come from Keldon yet. But not to discredit them, just the fact that we haven't given them the chances.
yeah, yeah.
We
We're we're
haven't
we're, we're still relying on Demar and LA as our
exactly.
close.
And even though Lonnie had his game in Houston, even though Derek's had his couple games, like those games were because they had the hot hand at the time, especially for Lonnie.
Yeah.
Because they had the hot hand, and it was like the flame hand, the one
Yeah.
that Pop really
And
saw and
and,
was
e-
like,
and
okay, we're
even
gonna give you the
well,
ball.
and even that Houston game that you're talking about, like Lonnie, uh, it, Lonnie was talking about it this year, and even said like that play was drawn up for this person. Like shout out to Patty Mills for like Patty's the one who like sought me out and said, here, take the shot. You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah,
here, like gave the ball to him. So
exactly.
you know what I mean?
So
Like,
it's like,
it's still not in our coaching. It's still not in our coaching philosophy to like to defer to those guys. But I'd be interesting. I'd be interested as like a. I always love to think about it from the coaching standpoint. I would be interested to see if they have a projection of their pace over the course of the year, how they want to slowly start to shift their responsibilities over. I would imagine that
and
they have a plan for that. You know what I mean?
if they do that, then yeah, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I cannot get mad if I end up seeing Demar's taking his 25 shots now, but towards the end of the season we are seeing Demar take 18, 17, and we're seeing Lonnie take 15, 16 instead of his 12, 11. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
agree.
happy.
I agree. All right. Well, the good thing is, as we approach February or like the trading deadline, we'll have another opportunity to kind of reassess LA because LA. Not to pick on him, but he's just one of those people in terms of his position and his contract and his time with us is all kind of coming to a head and to a point where we can be talking about it again. Like, do we really think that he fits? Because after February, he's just going to either be with us for the rest of the year or maybe not. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we'll be able to come back to that. But let's kind of switch back to our preview a little bit. Speaking of a young guy who gets the opportunity to show if he has the goods, and he's showed many times now that he has the goods. He's already on the list for MVP candidates and everything like that. We got Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks to finish out the week. So Jake, set us up for that.
Yeah, yeah,
My
I
fault. My
got you.
fault.
You're fine. So obviously, like you said, it's Luka. Luka's crazy. He's amazing. I have to have my honest criticism here. Like sometimes I see him crying for a foul a little too much, and I have to say, like, I don't like seeing it all the time, but he's we're in the NBA of 2021, so you can't go around without wanting your calls. But this team all around, it's a playoff team. It's good enough for a playoff team. And just some recent transactions would be like they traded Seth Curry for Josh Richardson, which I think is a good trade for both of them. Josh Richardson didn't work out in Philly, and Seth Curry worked for Dallas, but they needed more defense, so they traded Seth Curry for
Yeah.
Josh Richardson. Got
And,
got more
and
size,
Philly
got some more
needed
defense.
shooting, so like you said, win-win.
Yeah, and then obviously they still got a solid player in Tim Hardaway Jr. And I'm just kind of talking about like their role players here, right? So
Yeah,
Tim
yeah, yeah,
Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith always does something. Like it sometimes won't be scoring, but he's out there making a bit of an impact for them. Uh, Trey Burke's a solid little guy. Same thing with Jalen Brunson. Both of them being solid support point guards for Luka, because Luka's their guy. He's the guy who has the ball in his hand all the time.
yeah.
Um,
And then
this team.
they just recently got back from injury. They got what's his name back to Porzingis, no?
Oh, did they? Let's go ahead and check the lineups.
Yeah,
Projected lineups.
I think he played his first game just a couple days ago actually.
Yeah. Okay. So two games, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but so this is the projected starting lineup of Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Wesley Iwundu, if I'm correct in saying that right, Chris Stapps, and Willie Cauley-Stein. And Willie Cauley-Stein's not bad either. He's a solid little guy who could just run up and down the court, get oops. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oops, sorry
So
about that.
you're good. You're good. So who do you think? Let's see. When I see Cauley Stein and Porzingis out on the starting lineup, we're going what L.A. On Cauley Stein and Keldon on Porzingis. Are you throwing him
Oh,
out?
that's a big matchup. That's
I mean,
a
it's yeah, it is.
Chris
Is a
Stapps
lot.
is practically a 7-footer, and KJ is 6'5".
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you put Rudy out there?
Maybe.
Trey. What do you think?
I have no idea, honestly. Like that's definitely gonna be a weird matchup, because that's like, yeah, like he's 7 feet tall. KJ, like
And he can shoot. He can shoot the three too. Like
as
he'll shoot it right over KJ
as
easily.
much to say, as much as KJ can keep him out of the paint and stuff, Chris Stapps is a 7-footer. KJ won't even be able to. He might be able to put his hand up to his lips, but that's
So
it.
yeah. So I mean, what do we do? I mean, I would think maybe we've had some games where we slid Trey into the starting lineup. I think that probably in my head would probably be where they go, just because it's like, all right, that's been the plan so far. I don't think that they like to disrupt the second unit very much, right?
Mhm.
So here's like the first unit, here's the second unit. They'll take somebody from down here and just slide them up here.
Yeah.
But instead of sliding everybody up and moving and kind of ruining or messing with that chemistry. So maybe Trey gets the nod, and it's like, all right, you gotta be out there to contest, but also just be a big body. I think Trey is strong enough to keep Porzingis out of the paint too.
Yeah. So then I guess my question to you would be, who gets the slide down? Trey moves up. Who's gonna come down off the bench?
I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe
For
we
me, it's
put
between two people.
maybe
But
we
I'll let
put
you know
maybe
between two
we
people.
put Lonnie on the second unit. I mean, me and you've been talking about that. Well, we've been talking about it a lot, right? And that's something that that's something that another conversation that we had been talking about before, which is just where does Lonnie Walker belong? Do we want him on the starting unit? Do we want him on the second unit? So maybe this is an opportunity for him to go and be a big offensive leader on the second unit for this game, because we need a little bit more size up front. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I would probably say that. I would say DJ at the 1. DeMar at the 2, Keldon at the 3. I'll say Trey at the 4, just because I do think that they'll pull somebody up and leave Rudy in his spot, and then an LA at the 5.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I could also see if maybe they do just end up going with the swap, run Rudy at the 4, let KJ come off the bench. Um, like I could see that being just like an easy little swap, instead of trying to like mess with any type of rotations. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
like I think whatever Rudy does off the bench, Keldon can maybe not do to the veteran level that Rudy does, but because of how little bit inconsistent Rudy is this season, I think Keldon might actually be able to provide a little bit more scoring off the bench
Yeah.
if
Well, I
that
mean,
is the case.
I can see that. Plus, I mean, I know you just said that you felt like he's been a little inconsistent, Rudy.
Mhm.
But like defensively, we've asked him to do a whole
Yeah,
bunch.
And
So maybe that's what we do again. Maybe we slide him up there
yeah,
and say, okay, defensively, we need you to really just stick with Porzingis and not let him get going. Don't let him feel comfortable, because you know that Doncic is a guy who, you ran down the list of all of their role players, and their role players are good because they know they have a good they're good solid NBA players, but they know that they have a guy who's going to set the table for them. So if they
yeah.
can just put themselves in good positions, they'll get found. So I think maybe we throw Rudy out there because he has been pretty solid for us defending the big men this year.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure, and that's something that I don't think we have really been. I feel like you have been able to kind of give him some credit where it's due, but I think especially for me at least, like I haven't been able to give Rudy as much credit because I'm just looking at stats and I'm not seeing the defensive end sometimes, uh, so it's like I'll give him that credit where it's due. Like he does deserve to get his appraise because he's been given such a big defensive responsibility in some cases. So uh but I kind of want to keep going with the Lonnie thing of just like I'd love to see this game be an experiment. Um like for us, it would really help me in my case if we were able to see this happen and see Lonnie do well. Just because like if Trey moves up, Lonnie comes down, right? Their bench isn't exactly the greatest defensive bench.
Mhm.
They have a solid support. They have a solid role plays and everything good enough for them to make the playoffs, like I've said before. But their defense isn't crazy. Josh Richardson's a solid defender. I kind of question that Wes Iwundu is their starter just because I see Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Richardson right here, and I don't know about all that, but I mean it's just what this projected lineup is,
Yeah.
um, and so because of that though, I like their defense isn't crazy. Luka is not a great defender. Tim Hardaway Jr. is not a great defender. Kristaps not a great defender. They have some solid little bigs. Willie Cauley-Stein can get a block here or there. Dwight Powell's always been one to kind of throw down some of our stuff, and Boban, we love Boban, so it's
Yeah.
he'll be able to do a little something out there too. But their defensive perimeter stuff just isn't crazy, other than like the likes of Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Richardson. So it's
Yeah.
like um like I think the bench role for Lonnie in this game would be amazing. It'd be amazing slot for him to work his magic. Like the last couple games that Demar wasn't playing, Lonnie got more shots up and it looked good. They weren't bad. And I've said this a bit. I feel like one of the things that we need to do is start running more plays through him. They don't have to be clutch plays, they don't have to be end of game plays, but let's run more plays through Lonnie. Let's give him
Yeah.
the ball, let him run his thing. Let's, DJ start the play, let Lonnie run some off-ball screens, see if he can get himself an open look and let him do his thing. Like I haven't really been able to see Lonnie take play written shots. I've seen him take last second shots. I've seen him take shots that it was supposed to be DeMar cutting, but because Lonnie's man dropped in, Lonnie gets an open shot. Like I've seen that stuff. But when are we going to get a play that's run for Lonnie?
Honestly, I would say he has to show me a little bit more. He has to show
Willingness.
me, yes, willingness to take the shot. Like I would say you start with, let's run some plays for Lonnie to get an open shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah. Let's start with that. And if he shows that willingness, like, hey, the ball's coming to you, you are the shot. If you don't see it because of defense, then yeah, swing it and find something else or whatever. But I would like to see that a little bit more consistency first. Our point guards trying to set him up for open looks, and then I'll be a little bit more comfortable with, okay, now I want you to initiate the offense with the ball in your hands. I mean, he's shown that he can do a little bit of everything, but he's just shown a lot of times where he'll get the ball and he just doesn't have that willingness to shoot. And he said it too about feeling a little passive, or I think he used the word nonchalant. So like I think he knows that it's there too. So correct. correct me if I'm wrong. You're talking about using this game as like a opportunity for him to get more looks. But did you say that like in the starting lineup or moving him to the second?
Moving him to the second unit.
Okay, okay.
And
So
and like I
and then
said, that this helps my case in that sense of just like, let's see what Lonnie can do off the bench. Let's
yeah,
let him be the scorer off the bench, because
yeah,
I think um I've said this, and I haven't been able to explain it correctly, but like over these last couple weeks, I've been, told what the right things to like to correctly express what I was trying to say, and that's like, he is good. He's good on our starting lineup. He plays good there, as an off ball presence, being able to shoot right there when DeMar and LaMarcus have the ball in their hands. Like he plays his role fine on our starting lineup, but he can be used so much more as the second unit's first option,
yeah.
you know, and especially with Derek out right now. Especially with Derek out right now, because Derek does not have the ball in his hands. Derek's not on the court. Who's
Yeah.
gonna have the ball in his hands?
Exactly,
Well,
exactly, and I agree with you. Like you were talking about giving him ball handling responsibilities, and maybe when I was talking about the point guard setting him up first, I'm thinking more. DJ out on the starting unit. So yeah, I would agree. If you put him on the second lineup, then yeah, he can have some opportunities to have the ball in his hands, especially with Derek White out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and like, I guess one of the biggest questions would literally be like, who would take that position, right? Like, what are we doing? And I never really thought about like moving up, right? Like we were saying for this game. So that's why I think this game would be the perfect opportunity to see it, because it's not like we're going out of our way to make it that Lonnie's coming off the second unit. It's that these are the circumstances. This
Yeah.
is what we're going to do to adjust to those circumstances. Now let's take advantage of the circumstances and try to experiment something, try to improve on something,
Yeah, and and maybe that helps us if we put Lonnie on the bench, or we have we upsize a little bit to be able to match Kalisan and Porzingis. Maybe Lonnie's a little bit too much to handle on the second unit, and they have to kind of break up their strong starting lineup a little bit and put Porzingis out with the second unit and separate him and Kali Steins, you know what I mean, or separate him and Doncic to kind of spread out their attack or something like that. So maybe we can force them to do that a little bit by having a really strong offensive second unit led by Lonnie, you know what I mean, for that night or whatever. I honestly, I'm open for that. If not, or for nothing more than just like what we said about like, at some point we want to start to see the responsibility switch over to the young guys, and this is a good way to do it in where it's not like the crunch time game, but it's in the flow of the game. You have a lot more responsibility tonight. Let's see what you can do. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I would agree. I would be down to see a Lonnie Walker led bench against the Mavericks in a couple days.
And
Go ahead.
just to kind of say this of like Derek, like the responsibilities of Derek when he gets back. If Lonnie came off the bench, starting that game, and then we're like talking about it, and then we say, well, what are we gonna do when Derek comes back? Well, I think either Derek can start, or he can come off the bench with Lonnie, and Derek's
Mhm.
shown that he does not need the ball in his hands to be impactful. Like, I I've never seen Derek as being a 20-point per game scorer that needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He can get his 20 points every now and then. Let's just say like Lonnie's being a little streaky. DJ isn't hitting his shots. Keldon's kind of missing a couple. Yeah, Derek, step up to the plate. He'll do it. But Derek does so much all around that he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He
Yeah.
can be the starting playmaker. He can definitely be, once DJ comes out, Derek comes in, now Derek's running the plays, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
But like, if Lonnie's still that first option coming off the bench, I don't think that hurts Derek at all. I think Derek will still be able to get his due and be able to find his impact, especially coming off another same toe injury. Like, that first game that he came back with, he looked solid, but you could tell that it needed
Yeah.
time for him
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
to get better, to
I,
get
I
back
I
to his
like that
100%.
Jake. I really like that idea too, about the idea of using Lonnie's abilities as a way to kind of help not have to have Derek White do so much with his legs. Not to say that he's an old man already and that we need to protect him at all costs. With our with our conservative methods of like player health, but just the idea of him not having to be 100% running the offense, because he's got another guy out there with him. I like that idea too. I think that could work, and I think most of us would love to see KJ or sorry, DJ and Derek White kind of be separated and just like be our point guards at all times. I
Yeah,
think we kind of already talked about that before, but
yeah, I'd love to see 48 minutes divided between Derek and DJ.
yeah, that I think that would be great. And like you said, maybe this is an opportunity where we put Lonnie on that second unit and already start to give him some of his minutes of trying to feel what his role is going to be like with those guys. So now when Derek comes, it's not like Derek has to come in and really just solidify the group. Well, I guess I should say all he has to do is come in and solidify that second unit instead of coming in and like building out that second unit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We already have a point of attack, which is Lonnie Walker, and now you can come in and really start to gel us all together with your point guard skills and your IQ and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So,
and it's not even like I wouldn't say like if we went like super small ball, but like no, yeah, like if we ran a second unit of like Patty, Derek, Lonnie, Rudy, Jakob, that doesn't sound bad.
yeah, I mean, you'd probably put Lonnie like in that 3 spot in terms of like who he's guarding.
Yeah.
And then what? Derek White at the 2, just in terms of size, right? And then Patty at the
in
1.
terms of size, and
Yeah.
then but still Derek's still running that point of being the playmaker and stuff. Patty doesn't have to have the responsibility of being a playmaker.
Dribble.
Yeah, I love Patty to death, but that 1 year where he had to be that freaking that playmaker for our team was not pretty. It wasn't at all.
Are you talking about when we were missing Tony Parker so much that year? Is that the one you're talking about?
I think so.
where Tony Parker went to Charlotte and then like DeJounte got hurt or something, or somebody.
Yeah. I think so. I think that was that year. Like DeJounte hurt his.
We were severely lacking that point guard. Yeah, so I agree. If we can have Patty out there be the guy who you cannot sag off of him because he'll take the 3 and he'll make the 3, so that makes Lonnie's lanes a little bit more wide open. It makes Derek's lanes a little bit more wide open. I like that. Still trying to figure out where the heck we're gonna fit Samanic and some of these other guys, but yeah, no, I'm into that. I'm into that for sure.
And all that to say that it hurts my heart whenever I said that second unit and I didn't mention Devin.
Yeah, right. And go ahead.
He's the rookie, and for me at this point, I'm not gonna be upset if it says Derek, Lonnie, Devin instead of Patty, Derek, Lonnie.
Yeah, and maybe Pat. Well, I mean, dang, you hate to lose that resource, and that he's gonna go out there and try to give you the night that you want, which is I'm only missing 1 or 2 threes. I'm scoring 18 points for the night. Like that's what he's trying to do. So, but also as soon as we start, once we get Derek back, it is gonna get a little crowded, and we already are not seeing Samanic and not seeing Trey, in terms of the bigs.
At the same time, I will say, like, at the beginning of the season, it was more hard for me to say, like, oh, let's take minutes away from Patty. But the season's gone on. We've gone 15 games in. It's very clear to see that Patty, like, he plays great. He does his job, right? But there are gonna be those nights where he's off. And, if we have Derek back, and stuff like that, and Lonnie, or not Lonnie, Patty is a little streaky at the beginning of the game. Well, we don't have to let him be a liability on the court. You know what I mean? And not to say that Patty is always a liability, but if he's not making his threes, Devin is somebody that, like, if he's missing his threes, he's still out there being 6'7" with long wingspans, being a defensive presence out there, whereas Patty's a defensive liability sometimes.
I could see that. I could see that you put Patty out there with the second unit to start, but you pay attention to his shooting rhythm and all that kind of stuff. And now, like you're saying, you don't have to ride or die with Patty on your second unit. You have an option to sub him out for Vassell, right? Mm-hmm. So I agree. I like a lot of that. We can still find some minutes and find some lanes in for the Rook to get in, because everything that he's done, man, like so far, like every bucket he makes, every shot he takes, you're like, You're like, good, like go get you that, like go get you
Yeah.
that, Rook, because
Even if it just hits off the rim, like it still looked fine. It
yeah,
still like the one thing that I wouldn't want to hear is that his confidence got lowered because he's taking good shots. He's taking the right shots. He's doing the right stuff. It's just eventually he'll get to the point to where he'll start knocking them down,
yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
just a rookie.
and we do got to remember too, like the Spurs. It's a blessing for us to be able to see so much of Vassell this year. You know what I mean?
I know,
So
man.
in due time, we'll be able to have him as a solid rotational piece, like for the next couple years, moving forward. So that'll be fun. All right, Jake. We're at an hour and 50. This has been a fun 2 hours talking. Let's do our predictions for the week, and then if you have any other final thoughts, then we can get those out, and then we'll be done for the week, man.
Uh, yeah, I don't really have like, I mean, other than like, I'm really excited to see us play against Dallas just because we were playing against teams that like the Lakers, who were the top team in the NBA last year, and so obviously coming into this year, that they're still going to be really good. And then we're playing against teams that were kind of like mid-average. Like I said multiple times, we're playing against incomplete teams, and this will kind of hopefully, right? This game coming up against Dallas will be one of the first times that we're playing against a good team that's complete, that looks like they're already ready to go. And I'm excited to see that. I'm very excited to see a team like that. Like, that they're going to be in the playoffs, but that they're not number one, that they're not number two, and so it's like I'm excited.
They
I'm excited to
started
see what we'll do against them.
they started the year. I know they were missing Porzingis, but they started the year kind of rough too. So
Yeah.
at the very least, again, it puts them right in the pack with us, which is they have some inconsistencies. They have some things that they do really well, but they've shown that they can lose games. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, can we take advantage? All right, so we got Portland, we got Dallas, and then we got, I know you you just said it, but so what do you think we're going to end the week with our 3 games?
I think we could go 2-1. That's what I'll say.
2-1.
Yeah, because it'll be beating. I feel like we could definitely beat Golden State. And honestly, it's the same thing with Portland. Both of those teams, like we could beat both of them, but if Steph Curry or if Damian Lillard, their superstar point guards, went off for 45 for 60 points against us, it's
Yeah.
gonna be tough. We're,
Or we've seen it happen before. I think against like Luka Doncic too, like where we play the game decently okay, maybe not the best, but at least the game is close. And then like at the very end, we just kind of lose grip on their superstar, and then boom, they hit 3 shots in a row, and like we're out of it within the last like 3 minutes of the game. We're out
Mhm.
of it. You know what I mean? And we kind of like what we did to Houston last night, where like we just kind of put it out of reach right there at the end. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of these games could go either way. But 2-1. So what do you think? Do you think like we're on the fence between all 3 of them, but you would lean closer to wins on Portland and Golden State, and a little bit closer to a loss on Dallas?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I would probably say the exact same thing. I would say I'm gonna say 2-1. I'm gonna say 2-1 just because we've kind of shown over the course of this year so far, like there that I don't know. I need a little bit more proof that we're able to consistently take advantage of opportunities. Where and Portland and Golden State are both big opportunities. So at the very least, it'll be like we take advantage, we win those 2 games, and then it's a toss up between Dallas,
Yep.
or maybe we fumble a little bit, but then we show up really strong against Dallas. Like it could go either way. But I'm right
Mhm.
there. I'm right there with you for the week. I'm gonna say we go 2-1, which is good. Again, we talked about it last week. If we can stack more positive weeks together, 2-1s, 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 well, that's gonna end the year with more losses than wins, and it's only gonna help us moving forward. So I'm gonna say 2-1 as well, and then we were without our third brother in arms today, Josh. But Josh sent in his predictions since we've been talking, and Josh's he didn't give any explanations. That's okay, but he's going bold, and he's given us a 3-0 week. So, I mean, I think he probably feels a lot like us, which is like there are ways that we can win all three of these games, and there are ways that we can lose all three of these games. But
Hmm.
you know, we're gonna keep pushing for we're gonna keep pulling for the Spurs every week. So
I'm
you'll
sure he was talking. I'm sure he was talking a lot of mess during my Lonnie discussion. So
maybe one thing we didn't really talk about, but this is going to be super fun. We get three back-to-back-to-back games against really strong point guards. You know what I mean? Some of the best point guards in the league. And last
hmm
week we had that talk about like Dejounte Murray and Shea, and just kind of like how they're pretty comparable, but that a lot of people talk about Shea and maybe not so much DeJounte. So here's another a really good test for DJ of having to deal with Dame tomorrow, Dame and then Steph and then Luka right next to each other. You know what I mean? So the same way we got tested early with a lot of our bigs. Now we get a chance to kind of get tested with a lot of our point guards up. Really exciting week coming up with our three games. And if you joined us this week, hopefully you feel like you got a little bit more about of what they're going to bring to their roster in terms of some of their guys, what we can do to be successful this week, and then we'll be here next Sunday to kind of see, to give the recap, see how we did, and keep looking forward. This has been a lot of fun. This is our 6th episode, but this has been a lot of fun being able to kind of just take it week by week and really just dig into the season a little bit. I'm a huge NBA fan. I remember the days when I was Jake's age, and every Thursday, well, really it was like every day, but every Thursday, knowing that you were going to stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock to watch the doubleheader on TNT, pregame and postgame included, and then you sit and watch all the highlights. And so it's been fun for me as a little bit, being a little bit older now, to go back to actually start to digging in a little bit more. This has been super fun. I hope if you've joined us at any moment during our 6 weeks so far on Facebook or on YouTube, big thanks to you guys. All right, Jake. I think that's a good wrap up for the week. You got anything else to add before we sign off?
Nothing much other than just another reminder that I am not a Spurs hater. I love my San Antonio Spurs just like anybody else does. So you know, just gotta put that out there for all the family members who like to call me a Spurs hater.
As he wears the Miami jersey.
Right. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy G buckets, man. It would have been amazing to see him on our team.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, then we're gonna go ahead and call it a day on this episode for this week. But big shout out to anybody who was watching us throughout the live stream. We've had a couple people on Facebook and on YouTube kind of hang out with us for the last 10 minutes or so. So really appreciate that. Again, if you're watching on the replay on YouTube, we've had a decent amount of people click in on some of our previews, our game previews. So if you've clicked on one of our clips that we've posted out and are coming to us for any of those kind of game previews, again, thank you to that. I hope we're giving you a little bit of what you're asking for, what you're looking for in terms of your basketball talk. We try to bring some numbers, but at the same time, we're not ESPN necessarily, so we like to just kind of hang out and keep it casual and talk Spurs. So thanks to anybody who's been watching on those. But go ahead and just click the like button, or just throw in a comment if you have any questions for us. If you want to keep any kind of conversations going, we've had a few opportunities on the YouTube videos to kind of get in there and talk some basketball with people in the comment section. So it's been a lot of fun. We'd love to see the community keep growing. Okay, so all right, I think that's gonna do it for us for this week. But we will be back a week from today, as you can see on the bottom. We'll be marching along, as we make our way through this season. Okay, so we will see you guys on the 24th, same time at 10 a.m. And until then, that's it. So peace out. Go Spurs, go.